What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Fumble Live. If you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure you do that now. Tap the bell for notifications so you always know when we upload a new video. Hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment below, and share this video with your friends. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
What's up, everybody? It's Jackie Ray. You can follow me everywhere at JRay the Fanatic.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Britt Johnson. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson.
Okay, you guys, let's get right into this NFL update. This is about the Tennessee Titans. The Titans could face historic discipline after they violated COVID-19 protocols. A large group of players participated in an off-site workout. The players held the workout despite the team being told they all needed to quarantine separately. And there have been 23 total outbreaks among the Titans in the last couple weeks. Their facility still remains closed after they had to postpone their Week 4 matchup against the Steelers, and now there's talk of the Titans forfeiting their Week 5 game against the Buffalo Bills. Roger Goodell discussed the possibility of a forfeit. He said, quote, "Protocol violations that result in virus spreading, requiring adjustment to the schedule or otherwise impacting other teams will result in additional financial and competitive discipline, including the adjustment or loss of draft choices or even the forfeit of a game." So it is a complicated issue. There's a lot of information going around. Some people say that these COVID-19 protocols that they were supposed to quarantine separately and weren't allowed to work out in an off-site facility came about after they had already held that team practice at a high school. There's kind of some confusion going around, but I'd like to discuss whether or not a forfeit is the right punishment. So, Britt, I'd like to go to you. Do you think that forfeiting is the right course of discipline? And if not, how should the NFL punish violators of their COVID-19 protocol?
I think for the players who did this, I think this kind of like dates back to preseason stuff when we saw, Tom Brady having workouts with his players, even though they were told not to meet together. Dak Prescott did the same thing. So there were tons of little, meet and greets with players and stuff. So because players were not like reprimanded at that time, moving forward, these players probably thought there wasn't going to be an issue. So with that said, I think they do need, or they should have to forfeit, just because Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, all of them, they didn't have like this whole thing of like, we've had a bunch of positive tests on our team right now. We are supposed to be doing the specific quarantine because of our tests on our team that we have had that have been positive. So, and we're now in season, like all of that stuff happened preseason. Like they didn't even know if we were going to have a season at that time, but now we're like Week 5 in the season, So I definitely think that just to set the precedent that we cannot let this happen again. And if you guys do something like that, you guys will your team will have to forfeit. I think that they should have to forfeit just this particular game, just because like if the NFL doesn't, this is something that we're going to see continue throughout the rest of the season. And it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. And it does suck because the Titans are a pretty decent team. They went to the AFC Championship last year. And we saw they're more of a second half of the season team, because at the beginning of last season, they were terrible. In the second half of the season, they were the best team in the NFL at the time. So I think it sucks for them, because I think it could very well be the difference in their division, having to forfeit a game. But yeah, I do think that they should have to forfeit, or it's just going to continue.
Yeah, it is extreme punishment. A lot of people have differing opinions about it, but I think that since we are in the middle of a pandemic, you kind of have to sometimes be a little harsh. Chris, with upcoming games in jeopardy due to COVID, what do you think all of this means for the NFL? What's the impact going to be?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out myself. We were mildly talking about that yesterday with the whole, freak accident of Stephon Gilmore and Patrick Mahomes. And I think that's why, because of that, I do agree with Britt, where it's just you got to have the forfeit and discipline the team itself, to have 23 breakouts within the team itself, and instead of trying to replace players and still try to play when you don't know if some other player might have it, but they might have tested positive before the game. It just makes the most sense to just forfeit the game to save the team that they're going to play that might not be in the same situation as them. So As far as like the future scope for the entire league because of things like this, I honestly don't know. I still stand by. I think that we'll probably still be able to finish out, but this is what I was afraid of. I was waiting for that week 2, week 3, but here we are, week 4, week 5, where we're having situations like this. So I want to see how the league handles it, and I think forfeiting and punishing the team for not really practicing all the protocols the right way. I think that's the best case scenario right now.
Yeah. And then, Jackie, how likely is it that the Titans will be forced to forfeit the game? Do you think that that's the most likely outcome here?
I don't know. I mean, probably the problem with this whole situation is that the NFL failed to plan. So now they're kind of behind the 8 ball, trying to all of a sudden and create all these crazy rules. I personally don't think that the Titans should have to forfeit, because failure to plan on your part doesn't constitute an emergency on mine. You're still saying you want to push forward with the season regardless of who tests how. So I still have to be prepared. I still have to be ready to move forward because you as a league want to move forward. So I think the fact that the NFL failed to plan is what we're seeing right now. I'll get into that more, what we're not going to do, but I have no idea what they should do, because what they should have done was create some sort of scenarios, some sort of clear-cut guidelines, so there's no ifs, ands, or buts about what will happen if this happens, but they didn't do that. So now they have to get in front of it when they literally saw the NBA. They had a model. They knew what could happen. They knew what delays could happen. They should have anticipated some sort of delays instead of, saying we're going to stay the course. So I don't know what they should have do, because what they should have done, they didn't do. So I don't know. I don't know what they should do now.
I agree with your point on the NFL and their lack of planning, but you don't think that the team should be holding their team accountable, because every team is having their own protocol with how they're handling the players, and that's why there's not as many breakouts in other teams. But this team having 23 under their own roof, you don't think that the team should be held accountable for not being able to figure it out amongst themselves?
So if they had the 23 people that tested positive at the practice, then yeah, absolutely, there should be some sort of penalty for that.
Right.
But if we're saying that the 23 people who tested positive were not there, and the league is saying, hey, no matter what happens, we're going forward with our season, then I have to proceed like we need to go forward. We've seen what happens when we have reduced practices, when we don't have preseasons, the injuries that have caused. And if we're going business as usual, regardless of the people on my team that have tested positive, then yeah, they sit out, but the rest of us have to prepare to go on with business as usual, because that's what the league is doing.
Weren't they all told to quarantine though?
So
individually.
That's where the confusion is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so some people say that order to quarantine separately came about after they already had that off-site practice. Others say they received that order before the practice. So there's
confusion about who told them. They don't know who told them. They don't know if it was the GM, they don't know who told. So there's a lot of what ifs. So I'm operating on, like you said, Devin, that this was an afterthought, like, oh, y'all had this practice? Wait a minute. Because otherwise I just don't see them if they're the GM or their president of, comes in and says, this is what we're doing. It doesn't make sense for the entire team to say, screw you, we're going to do this anyway. You know what I mean? There's just too much confusion in the situation, but I understand that the mindset of like, look, they're going to go on without us, so we at least have to be prepared.
So do you feel that there should be no punishment at all for the Titans? Do you think that they should just, count this as a lesson learned and move forward?
Yeah. Technically, yeah, I definitely think that. I think that now you can kind of create some protocols, but you can't be reactionary. I hate that about the NFL. You should have had a plan in place, and now you're going to be reactionary because we've been watching what you're doing, and you said no matter what, the season is going to go on as planned, as scheduled. We're not going to do any delays. The playoffs are going to happen. I still have to prepare as a team. So yeah, you need to make certain guidelines now, but don't have these blurred lines going into this and all of a sudden, hey, we're going to make it clear at your expense. I don't think that's the right way to go.
I think I sit kind of squarely in the middle of all of you guys, because I think that what Chris was saying is true. You kind of have to hold yourself accountable, your own teammates accountable, and when you have had so many COVID cases pop up, you kind of need to be able to make adjustments and figure out a solution regardless of what the league says, but also it is up to the NFL to provide an outline and to make it clear what the protocol actually is. Britt, were you going to say something else? I think I said.
Yeah, I feel like I think it was clear to them and they had to have known about it beforehand, because why would they have a practice outside of practice? I've never seen a football team during a regular season decide to hold a practice at a high school instead of using their own facility. So I feel like that in and of itself shows that they knew that they were not supposed to be practicing together, because why did they not go to their practice facility? Like, why?
But I went down and read. I read all the predetermined NFL guidelines, like they have them clearly stated, printed out, or posted, and it doesn't say it. This part is very unclear. So then again, it'll still come down to, I can see them saying, "Hey, we're closing down the facility," and everybody be like, "Oh, well, that sucks," but we get it because all these people are tested, but. I mean, if we still got to play, we still got to prepare. But if you look on what's printed as far as what the NFL has posted, it's not clear what to do in these situations. So I definitely can see where the confusion came about.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the confusion. I just, like, to Chris's point, like, you just got to have a little common sense. Like, we're in a pandemic. You guys are grown men. These aren't like high school players or not even college level players. You guys are grown veteran players. Most of you guys, like, the Titans don't even have a young team. They have a pretty, like, older team or whatever that's been in the league for a long time. I just think common sense should, like, be like, oh, well, but to that point though, Jackie, because they don't have like a rule to it or nothing like said about it, like the team could go, oops, we didn't know, even though they probably did know. I feel like they did know they weren't supposed to be there. But they technically, I guess, legally say, we didn't know. Y'all didn't really make it clear to us, so why should we get in trouble? But it's like, to me, it's just like, come on, y'all. Like, but to the point of that, I guess if there is no, like, thing set in stone, you can't really forfeit or make a team forfeit when they don't have any situation to, like, there's nothing in writing, nothing said at that point for that to happen. So, I don't know. I feel like we don't know the whole story, but like from just the little bits and pieces of it, yeah, if they didn't know at all, or it's not in writing at all, you can't make them forfeit. But to me, they should have just technically had common sense as well. A little bit of both.
Yeah, yeah, a bit of both.
It's a divisive issue. I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's really a clear-cut solution here. Let's move on to some NBA news. The Oklahoma City Thunder reportedly tried to trade Chris Paul last season to teams, including the Knicks, but everyone said no. He had a great season this year. It kind of flipped around the narrative. He now has one less year on his contract, obviously, and he's $38.5 million cheaper. So there's some talk that it maybe is time to move. Mark Berman of the New York Post said, quote, Oklahoma City GM Sam Presti likely will want a first-round pick and a young prospect still on his rookie contract. That young player would preferably be Knox. So some questions around all of this, like, which first-round pick would they want? How is it protected? How would the other teams match his $41.3 million salary for next season? And so, Chris, I have to go to you first. What is your reaction to this news?
I've been talking about this for months over on my personal channel. This is at least for Knicks fans. This is not new news. It's just become more of bigger news because now the Thunder are coming out saying that we like Knox and we want a pick. So now the Knicks are solely put into the limelight of that. I have many thoughts on it. Obviously, it would be great to have a player like Chris Paul on the Knicks. But my thing is that contract. That contract is not sexy. And that's the reason why the Thunder, instead of trying to keep it together and going for another season, the reason why the Thunder are trying to shop him is because of that crazy, crazy contract that Daryl Morey just threw all the money at him at. And that's the problem that's going on right here. And the Thunder is going to be strapped for cash. So unfortunately, they're going to have to let him go to a team that's willing to pay him. And all sides are just pointing for the Knicks because our new president is one of Chris Paul's good friends, his ex-agent for all the years he's been in the NBA. So just all those kind of signs point to him coming to us. And it's scary because for the first time in a long time, for the last 3 years, we've actually been out of a financial crunch. So it's been nice. We actually have been doing things the right way by drafting and trying to develop, keyword on trying. But, so to make a move like this, it would be, I get it. But it's a bit scary. But at the same time, you have to think of it this way as a positive. If you're a Knicks fan like myself, it's what's the difference between the Thunder and the Knicks is a lot of the same things. Younger guys with a bunch of veterans that don't have their place. The Thunder was the same thing. It would just be going from a small city to a bigger city. So I'm gonna look at it that way, and I think that would only help us as far as us being a better team. But I think it's all rumored, and we'll see what happens.
All right. And Britt, do you think that this would be a good move for the Thunder, or do you think it's better for them to keep a veteran leader on their team?
I just look at, like, I mean, Sam's made some crazy stuff in the past because he was the one that was responsible for the Kevin Durant, James Harden leaving, like, or the James Harden leaving situation with Russell Westbrook, all that kind of stuff. Like, responsible for all of that. Those three breaking up, that's on his watch. So I don't know if he's like the greatest at like trying to maneuver and figure things out. I don't know if anybody would take a Chris Paul contract, but he did have a, I mean, really good season. Like, you know, like we've talked a million times about the percentage of the OKC Thunder even making it to the playoffs was like 0.02 at the beginning of the season, and look what he was able to do with that team in the Western Conference. So I imagine what he could do in the Eastern Conference. You know, like I think he would be great with the Knicks. I don't know if Papa Knox is going to be happy going to a small city like OKC. That's my biggest thing. He
would be very upset about that.
He is not going to be happy about going to a smaller market.
The thing is, if Knox gets sent over to Oklahoma City, they pretty much got that same Kentucky team. Shea's their point guard. Knox would be over there with them. They got Hamidou Diallo, who was on the team. Yeah. All of them were on the same team. They got Nerlens Noel, that's an ex-Wildcat. They pretty much trying to get the Oklahoma City Kentucky Wildcat.
Kentucky team.
Yeah. So I get it from that standpoint. But, Papa Knox would be like, out here? What? Yeah, he would not be happy.
Right. And then, Jackie, how do you feel about all of this? Do you think that the Thunder should shop him around?
I think the move to the Knicks makes sense. I know his former agent is kind of heading up everything over there, so I think it would be an easy transition for him because of that. I personally would love to see him stay because we've been talking about him so much and saying, you know, hey, he's literally the reason why, you know, because we were not talking about them at all, but he put in the work, he brought the experience, and he really kind of turned things around for that franchise. So for that reason, I would love him to stay. But at the same time, I know he already has a relationship with, I forget his agent's name, Leon or something like that. Leon, So he already has a relationship. So for him, at his age, you know, it might be cool to go to another franchise, lend that veteran leadership to a team that's consistently struggled, and then like Chris said, let the young guys recreate their Kentucky team and have at it. Let's see what we get, you know. So I mean, like I think that actually isn't a horrible idea. I would just hate for OKC to shoot themselves in the foot because we've been, you know, seeing them get so close for so long, and now here they are again, and it's literally CP3 did that all on his back. I would hate to see them, you know, sell themselves short and not give themselves an opportunity in a regular season that's pandemic free, maybe give themselves a real chance at going even further. So, I mean, I don't have a dog in the race, so I really don't care. But ultimately, I think either way, it does play out well for Chris because he's going to be comfortable in either situation.
Yeah, Chris seems to like it.
At first I thought you were talking about our Chris.
Yeah, both Chris's. Both Chris's.
Actually.
Both Chris's. I'd be fine without him, but I'll be very happy with them too, for sure.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for that. And now, Chris, can you tell us what's going on in the world of social media?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Post Up with your boy Chris, Quarantine Edition. That is Chris Clark, not Chris Paul. But yes, we are starting off with some LeBron James love. LeBron James has gone. Here's the thing. I don't know how much of a big deal it is for kids nowadays because it's not as crazy as it was for at least us when we were growing up. Like to see, you know, athletes be on the cereal box for Wheaties and stuff, even if you didn't even eat the cereal, it was just such a cool deal. Like, you know, the commercials and stuff like that. This Wheaties athlete, this and that, and the third. So LeBron James was the one that was recently nominated to be this year's Wheaties athlete, and it wasn't just LeBron James. He had Wheaties also showed love to the entire I Promise school, from the students to the staff members, everybody included. They're even donating to LeBron James' school. It's a whole awesome event that LeBron James caught on camera. And like I said, this, for as long as I've known sports, was a big deal for a lot of athletes to be the Wheaties athlete. And LeBron James getting that on top of the donation to the school, that's a big feat. So congratulations, LeBron. Here's his reaction to getting that news.
Thank you. This is
LeBron looking trim too. What the heck?
champion of change. The most amazing part about this whole thing is the fact that my I Promise kids, it's all over this thing.
That's cool.
Teachers, faculty members, students. This is pretty damn cool.
The gentle
The he
open.
opens it. Yeah, I know.
The guy that when he opens presents, like literally keeps the paper like.
Yes. Yes.
I hate when people do that.
God, I know. My whole family does that.
Yep, shout out to Naya. She does it too, little one.
Aww.
I love how he's just cherishing this moment.
Look at him. And a little cheese smile. Look at that. Yeah, that's so cool, man. Yeah, that's the moment right there. That's the moment right there. Now there were some memes making fun of this picture right here. That's like, it's like, so hey, LeBron, what'd you get for your birthday? And then it's this picture just him with a box of weed. He's like, oh, cereal. All right, cool for you, I guess. But yeah, it's funny. But no, congrats to LeBron. Like I said, that's a big moment. Again, I don't know how that's perceived to the younger generation now, but watching sports, I've always thought that was really cool to get on the box of Wheaties. Never really had a bowl of Wheaties in my life, but I always knew the significance it was for the athletes. So shout out to LeBron, shout out to I Promise School. Real cool moment for all of them for sure. But we're not done with LeBron James, because LeBron James, after the fact of this video, he had something to say about the vice president debate that we all witnessed last night. I've been trying to find the right name for this damn fly, but this fly needs a name because this dude's celebrity is out of this world and it is well deserved.
He's got his own Twitter page.
I'm saying,
but is it just the fly has his own Twitter page?
But what's it called? Is it like the fly on Spencer's? Like, what was it? The fly on
I don't know.
Like, what is it called? He needs a name. We need to find a name for this damn fly. But yeah, it took over the entire world when this fly, and the timing was perfect. The timing was perfect for when he placed himself on top of Vice President Mike Pence's head and stayed and hung out for a good long time. Like, he was hanging out there for a minute, like, oh, this is pretty cool. Yeah, this seems like home. This seems real familiar to me. But that being said, LeBron James took the opportunity to make fun of the moment by posting this on his IG, saying, y'all know what Fly's favorite destination is, right? Yep, you guessed it, with a bunch of laughing emojis and the doo-doo emoji followed by F out of here. LeBron James out here talking that talk. I'm upset, though. You could have brought the emojis down and not cover up my boy. Like, where's the fly? The fly is underneath one of those laughing emojis. Come on, LeBron. You can cover up Pence's face. We won't be mad at that. But we need to see the star of the moment. I was a little upset that LeBron covered down. But anyways, that post was definitely what a lot of us were thinking. And that, yeah, it was so funny. I couldn't believe it. It took away.
Yeah, I love that.
What is it, Britt?
I asked for names for it. Somebody said Lord of the Flies. That's a good one. I like it.
Chris Cristobal.
Yeah, I mean, he is.
I like Pincey Wise. I like that one.
I love it. Yeah, keep the names coming. We gotta find our favorite one. Yeah, that is hilarious. I'm trying to look at them right now. But speaking of, we're sticking to champions and achievements and whatnot. We did talk about yesterday Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart and the greatness that was just them in general as basketball players. We talked about Sue Bird's achievements throughout her entire career, being 40 years old, balling out the way she did. But Stu, we got look. This girl is 26 years old, and she posted this picture on her IG as if she was Phil Jackson, because she got 10 whole rings on her head. Look at this. This is incredible. Winning at every level with a lot and a lot of winning being that. Like, the left hand itself was a lot of UConn victories you can see over there. We got the USA basketball on the other hand, got the Storm trophy over there. Like, This is incredible for 26 years old. I don't care what sport it is. To be a champion at all those different levels, that young, that is huge. That is GOAT talk right there. So shout out to Stu for that. Congratulations to you. Like, just see, it's one thing to talk about because we did talk about it briefly yesterday, but when you see it, you're like, God dang, that's crazy. So good for you, Breonna Stewart. That's crazy. Yeah, I like the caption. Breonna Stewart has won a lot, and yeah, she definitely has, for sure. Now this one, I don't know if I'm going to categorize this as petty. I'm gonna let you guys decide how you guys feel about this one, but we know that there's a lot of athletes, specifically in football. I mean, there's some cases in basketball and other sports as well, but specifically in football, you see a lot of these athletes who tend to represent themselves rather than sign with representation. And one of those athletes is DeAndre Hopkins. We all know DeAndre Hopkins was a part of one of the stupidest trades of this entire season. The stupidest trade of this season, and one of the guys that spearheaded that finally got fired in Bill O'Brien. But all that being said, there was an article that finally came up of, oh my goodness, Cal McNair, who is the owner of the team, who had his say about what happened, and he's dropping his piece that DeAndre, I'm calling Deshaun. DeAndre Hopkins saying that, he wanted to change. Yeah, all the D's over there on Texas. But yeah, DeAndre Hopkins wanted to change his contract up, and the Texans couldn't meet up with that plan, so they decided to just move on from DeAndre Hopkins. And DeAndre Hopkins, in a now deleted post, as you see to my left, right, whatever it is for y'all, the right-hand side of y'all screen, you can see that DeAndre Hopkins represented himself as his agent. So DeAndre Hopkins' agent had this to say: "Since I am my own agent, I guess I can speak on my client's departure." It said Kyle, but it was Cal. "Cal, you never responded to my client when he thanked you after his departure. My client never asked for a new deal. He asked for a Band-Aid deal, which means a little bit of a raise. And I think we can all agree that I think DeAndre earned a little bit of a raise. My client, though, is very happy in Arizona, by the way. Now, like I said, this was then later deleted by DeAndre Hopkins, but I need to come to my petty queens over here. So both of you, I need to know, do you guys, all three of y'all, do you guys think that this was he should have kept this thing up? Should he have just talked that talk and left it up? Or do you think because he is letting the agent side out, he is like, all right, you know what, I'm gonna take it down because it's probably not the right move to keep something up like this. So actually, let me start with go ahead, Jackie. Take it away.
I mean, I liked it. I'm always a fan of like, oh, okay, that's cute or whatever, but watch your mouth. I'm a big fan of that. Like, let me put you on blast real quick for saying things out of pocket. I don't ever have a problem with stuff like this. Like, if you go and put it out there and I don't agree with it, I'm gonna say something. So I don't have a problem with it. I'm good with it. But you weren't here when Britt told us she retired her pettiness, so you have to ask Devin now because Britt is saved. Yeah, you weren't here.
Well, I've been retired for like a month and a half, and nobody noticed. Like, y'all.
No, we didn't.
You don't understand. Your pettiness always, the play that always comes to my mind is that play of Damian Lillard and Russell Westbrook when Russell Westbrook kicks the ball. Oh wait, that is Britt Johnson in my mind. That's why I thought that was your petty, but I didn't know you were retired. Oh my God.
Here's your ball.
Wow. Yep. Well, Devin, hey, floor is yours. You are Miss Say More. You are always about to play Say More. So in this situation, do you think that he said just enough and should have kept it up, or do you think he was right to say let's take it down?
I say keep it up. Always keep it up.
Yes.
You know me, though. I live for the drama, so I like it.
Wow. Yeah, I thought he should have kept it. I mean, I get it. I understand. Fine. You got to keep it professional. But, man, I loved it. I thought his response was great. He spoke in representing himself. I thought he was right. I had no problem with it. But I also get it from a professional standpoint. So whatever, D-Hop, whatever. But I'll tell you what wasn't professional, the way that Steve Kerr called out James Harden blatantly without just all he had to do was just say his name. That's the only thing that he didn't do. But he called out the entire Rockets. He called Mike D'Antoni. He called out James Harden, called out Darren Moore, everybody in his response. Now, the double is what they're calling it over there. They just wrapped up their training camp bubble. They've been calling it the double in Golden State. And he was asked the question, what is his expectations for the Warriors next season? Steve Kerr, in a very Steve Kerr manner, he responded by saying, "We're still going to be the Warriors. We're not going to turn into the Rockets and change our offense and have one guy go high pick and roll 70 times a game." Quote, that is a direct quote from Steve Kerr. And I loved it. Now, we just talked about the same, speak. I know Devin's probably a fan of this right here. But he said this. This was his direct quote. And like I said, he said the Rockets team. He didn't say like another team. No, he said the Rockets. The only thing he didn't do was say James Harden instead of one guy, or say Mike D'Antoni with the pick and roll. He didn't say no other names. But I'm here for this. So talk to me, Devin. Talk to me. You liking this one? Is it too much, or is he right on cue with saying the Rockets? Talk to me.
No, I like it. I think it's funny. I mean, obviously, I'm sure the Rockets didn't appreciate it, but I think it's funny. I like it when people are just going to be like open and direct. Why not?
No,
something to talk about.
This one is unnecessary. We weren't even talking about the Rockets. Like, why? Keep my name out your mouth. You're just going to egg all this beef. This one, no. This was too much.
No, like, you are supposed to be the head coach of a team, and you was trapped this last season. So why are you even saying anything? Like, nobody's been talking about you since March because y'all haven't been in anything since March. Like, say less, my guy. This was a say less Steve Kerr moment.
Yes.
Because he really say less a lot. I have a lot of like little history moments with him that he act like he's, me and Jackie are Mark Jackson for life. So
yeah, right. That part.
I understand. Well, Devin, I'm with you. I'm with all the smoke. I loved all this. I'm with it. I am all for trash talk. I want it back. So right here, I'm with it.
Yeah, I think it's funny and amusing. I'm not saying it's professional. If I were on the Warriors, I probably would have been like, "Oh my God, please don't." But I think it's funny. If it's gonna happen, I'm gonna sit back and watch it and enjoy it and just be over here.
I think it would have been funny if Clay had said it, because then it'd have been like, "What the hell are y'all talking about? Y'all didn't even play last season." Like, haha, that'd have been funny. Yeah. But you're the head coach, and nobody was talking about the Rockets, and you just decided to throw this shade. Like,
man. God. Love a good unexpected slap to the back of the neck. I love that. The Rockets just mind their business. What the hell? What? We didn't do anything. I love it.
To defend them,
right?
They don't even got somebody that can come back and say anything back to them. Like,
because if anybody else on the Rockets says anything, they're gonna be like, "Oh, he just in his feelings. This is petty." He stole your shirt, Britt. He stole your shirt.
Rockets running around with their heads chopped off. Got no GM, got no coach. Yeah, I love that. Just made it even better. I'm with you, Devin. I am with you on this one for sure.
No.
But a cool moment happened in Minnesota, where the Timberwolves ended their bubble. All the teams are ending their bubbles. All the teams that didn't make it into the bubble are ending their training camp bubbles. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, on their last day, they decided to go and pay respect to the downtown area. Obviously, we remember the unfortunate news of George Floyd's murder by the Minnesota police a few months ago. The players went over there to check out the spot where a lot of people in Minnesota have still to this day are protesting to this day, and they went to go check out the spot. On top of that, going and helping a lot of people who are in the area that are not registered to vote. They were part of that event to help get them registered so they can vote. If I can't tell, the pictures are up. So from the entire players that are in the bubble, we know that Karl-Anthony Towns was not a part of the bubble, but he definitely made sure he made his way to the event so he could also be a part of that and speak to the people right there. You see him right there, Cat right there doing his thing. And shout out to them. Everything counts, and to see, especially for the kids to see, the players that they look up to, whether they may or may not be a fan of that team. These are players for your team in this area that are out here, trying to spread that word. I'm a fan of that. So shout out to the T-Wolves for doing that. And yeah, I love that. That was good talk. Do they have a? Yeah, they have a coach. Yeah, they still got the coach. All right, just making sure. I was like, wait, do they have a coach? I had to make sure. Sorry, I was making sure in my head. But yeah, shout out to the Timberwolves. Now here's another one. I like this one, but I'm curious. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this one. But the Lakers yesterday announced that they are going to be wearing their undefeated Black Mamba / Mambacita all black snakeskin jerseys against the Miami Heat in an elimination game 5 where they are up 3-1 in the series and they could possibly fulfill Jackie's prediction of a gentleman's sweep. Now they are going in guns a-blazing with this one because we've heard Anthony Davis, LeBron James, all the players talk about how there is no losing when these jerseys are on. You don't lose with these jerseys on. It's a big deal because they do not want to let down Kobe, Mamba, Bryant when it comes to those jerseys. So I just think it's a bit of a bold move. I love it. I love that. I love that confidence. You come out there and you go with that confidence. I'm not no Laker fan, but I love that. That to me, that's another way of talking that talk. Like we out here to finish the damn job because, like I said, the undefeated jerseys. And you know who else is a fan of this? Mama Bear herself, Vanessa Bryant, loved this idea. She shared it on her IG news. The Lakers wearing these jerseys for that elimination game, saying Mamba and Mambacita jerseys approved for Game 5. Let's go, Lakers. Yes. So I like it. I'm a fan of it, but here's my question, though. Okay? Now, I know we got 2 Laker fans on the panel, so you guys are excited about it. But do you guys think this might be I'm going to come to you, Jackie Ray. Do you think this might be a little too bold because of the games that the Miami Heat have given you in the last 2 games? Or you ain't worried about none of that because these jerseys are just full of superpowers and you guys know you're going to win this game?
Yeah, no, it's go bigger. It's go big or go home. I love this. I actually said this right after they lost that one. I'm like, all right, we got to wear the Mamba jerseys in Game 5. So as soon as they announced it, I was doing the happy dance. I was like, we got this. Because Game 5 has kind of been our thing anyway. You know what I mean? And so, and plus, I need LeBron to get some sleep. He hasn't been sleeping well, so I need him to go ahead and finish this work so we can move on. I saw somebody in the chat said, bad news that they should have wear them for Game 6. There's not going to be a Game 6. We don't close this out in these Mamba jerseys, and I'm gonna have to get a new doll with a Mamba jersey so I can have one on either side. It's gonna be so dope. I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
Okay, so you're not worried in the slides. Okay,
no fear.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah, you gotta go bold or go home in this situation, or you just go bold or try again if you don't win.
Go Game 6.
Right. So either way, whatever. But yeah, no, I expect this to be a really good game because Jimmy Butler's not going to go down without a fight. Bam played really well after the injury that we've been hearing about. He didn't look like he had an injury. There were others. Tyler Hero looked like Tyler Hero in the playoffs. I'm excited for this. I think Game 5 is going to be a fun game. I'm siding with the Lakers just because of the magic and the the spirit of those jerseys because they've been working thus far. But I think the game's going to be.
And let's not forget that I think the Tyler Hero lip is a jinx. It looked awful. It was terrible. I think that little whatever the hell that was 2 moments. A jinx.
That's the thing. They doubled down. They had the smirk and they had Jimmy Butler with the they in trouble. So I think if history repeats himself with the playoffs. Yeah, that might have been their death note for sure.
Yep. Now
I wish I could end post up with that because this was a good hype moment. Everyone was hyped up. We're going into what we not gonna do. Now, of course, I do want to preview what we not gonna do a little bit with my last post up because this is just plain stupid. I can't believe what I saw when my producer said this to me because I had no idea about this. But this man, George Hill, is going all in on throwing a full Halloween party. I'm not talking about no backyard, a few friends over home. No, this man is throwing a whole Halloween party that's going to be in the club. As you can see, the seats are $500. Like, this is craziness. That's all I got to say about that one. But let me tell you, the responses on Twitter were priceless because everyone went in on George Hill after this news, after his Instagram post inviting people to this damn event. So if I can get this first one up, Leo. Oh shoot, where's my thing? There it is. Yeah,
say $500.
Yes, it does, Jackie Ray. It does say $500. Yes, it does.
Winner. It's for
winner.
Oh, $500. Okay, for the best and sexiest.
I was like, Lord, that went off the screen too quick. I got
you
scared.
You get $500. Right. You get $500 for your best costume and for the sexiest costume. But anyways, this first person, Tumor, he said Sure, this seems like a good idea during a pandemic. Why not? Then this next person also responded to this post by saying, struggling to imagine a more absurd way to catch the virus than I was at George Hill's Halloween party. I mean, I got it directly from the president. It's still there, but this is a close second. That's 100% facts on that one. Here's the next one that said, oh, this? Well, I got the award for sexiest costume at George Hill's Halloween party. You didn't go? I thought that was hilarious. Like, someone asked, like, oh, where'd you get that from? I don't know. This whole thing to me is just wild. Like, I don't know. But to each their own. But to warm up this next segment, what we not going to do is we not going to set up a whole entire party knowing damn well what the hell what is going on in the world, going into wintertime where it is flu season, and now we got flu and COVID out there holding hands together. This is what we're not going to do. We're not going to throw out this little party and give out $500 for the best and sexiest costume. That's what we're not going to do. Or else I'm going to send the flyer in there on that entire. He probably might be.
Mike Pence might go. They would go.
The only
Maybe.
thing here is they probably will all have masks on because it's part of their costume. That is the whole thing.
Yep.
Everyone dressed up as Batman, like Spider-Man, Power Rangers, like stuff with masks on.
Batman don't have a mask over the important
Oh, his mouth is exposed.
Right.
You're right.
But you know, somebody's gonna go dressed up. They're gonna have that bad, ugly wig and have no mask on. They're gonna be Donald Trump you know that's gonna happen.
Where's the mask? It's part of my costume.
It's part. You can't let it beat you. You're better than this. You can beat it. It's okay. Plus, it's hot in here, and you know it doesn't work when it's hot.
Oh my god! I want to see the videos.
Just use a little bit of bleach.
Right. I got my bleach martini over here. Some Lysol for flavor.
the only costume that's. Wait, go ahead.
Go, Chris. I was going to say you have an injection of disinfectant.
Right. And an IV drip.
On the belt. Yeah, with Lysol on the bag.
No, we're not the president. We don't have that kind of money. It'll be fabuloso. IV drip of fabuloso.
Anyways, on that note, that's what we're not going to do, and I'm going to let you take it over.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you very much, Chris. And now, Jackie, what are we not going to do?
What we're not going to do right now is, just this nonsense right here. Anyway, you guys, it's your girl, Jackie Ray, a.k.a. Fake Donald right now. Look, this one is going to be absolutely no shocker to us at all, because we're going to go ahead and just talk about Florida. So everybody take a deep breath, roll your eyes, do whatever you need to do. But the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, has decided to remove any and all COVID-19 protocols. So this means you should be seeing a lot less Karens in your timeline that are mad because they have to wear a mask in the grocery store. That's not going to be a thing anymore. It also means that the Dolphins, who had 11,000 stands in the fans for their season opener against the Bills, they could go to full capacity now if they wanted to, which is 65,000 fans. So again, that seems a little weird that this could be a thing and we're getting mad at the Titans for having practice, but whatever, let's move on. Andy Slayer tweeted that the state's spokesperson followed up with him. He's the reporter that broke the story. The spokesperson followed up with me wanting to make it clear that after the governor recently dropped COVID-19 restrictions, all Florida stadiums were able to go to full capacity. The fact that the governor thinks this is a great idea is hilarious to me. So let's just take a look at some of these facts, because Florida reported an increase of 3,306 cases of COVID-19 on Thursday. That is the state's highest daily rise in cases since September 19th. And that is coming directly from the Florida Health Department. The state has had 164 additional resident deaths, surpassing 15,000 deaths since the start of the pandemic. And on Wednesday, Florida passed 15,000 fatalities when including non-residents who died in Florida, also from the health department. Florida is now up to, this is not even funny because it's just crazy that all these stats are coming from Florida, but they are now up to 700,226 13 confirmed cases, over 15,000 resident deaths, and 186 non-resident deaths from COVID. So then people who went down there for spring break, probably on that list. I do think it's ironic that the governor decided to take this position just days after 45 said it's not that bad, don't let it break you, because he could beat it. But he failed to mention that it took him 13 doctors. he was getting steroid injections, oxygen. He also had an experimental vaccine given to him that only 10 people who were outside of the clinical trials could receive. And it cost $100,000 for him to get to the point where the medical professionals were okay with going with him as he left the hospital, even though they recommended him not going. So just so you know, Ron DeSantis is called Baby Trump. Not even making that up. Google it. So what we're not going to do is have the same moronic thought process as Ron DeSantis, because like Britt and Devin both said, even if this is allowed, let's go ahead and exercise some common sense. And as of right now, the Dolphins are planning on doing that. They say they do not plan on going to full capacity. They will increase slightly, though, from 11,000 fans to 13,000 fans that they will allow. But then you have to wonder if this is because of public outcry. They have one user who says DeSantis is at it again with over 2,500 new cases and over 100 new deaths reported today. You think he would limit exposure. You would think, but he's not. And then this one was a good one. I actually think this is a really good idea. This user said DeSantis should be sued civilly. Clearly abusing his official authority doesn't bother him. There is a legal precedent for government officials to be personally sued in civil court. Seems there'd be a compelling case given he is acting against the advice of health authorities. I don't know if that would actually work. I think it's a great idea, but we can't sue the president for that, and it's literally it trickles downhill. So I don't really have any questions on it, except for, how do you guys think about Florida? Is anyone surprised? I don't know. Raise your hand if you're surprised that this is a thing in Florida. Anyone? Okay, let's move on to this next one. Florida, no. This one definitely seems to be, what we're not going to do, NFL edition. We talked about a little bit about this earlier, but like I said, the truth of the matter is the NFL had no real plan. And my dad used to tell me all the time, just because you don't have a plan now doesn't mean that you're not going to be scrambling and looking like a complete idiot later. So plan now. He used to tell me that all the time. And the NFL didn't do that. They just wanted to say, institute weird plans. Like I've said before, let's make the head coaches wear masks on the sidelines. That seems kind of late at that point. They've also kind of failed to understand, even if we're testing people every other day, if I test negative on Thursday, that doesn't mean I don't have it. It just means that there's not enough antibodies in my system yet to show up. So there's no real plan. I think that the NFL needed to make a plan. They needed to understand that with everything that the medical professionals were telling us, it was highly likely that almost every team was going to experience positive tests. I liked when the Patriots, they flew Cam on one plane. They flew everyone else who had not been exposed to Cam and had not tested positive on another. I think that's a plan. I think if you are in the case of the Tennessee Titans, if you have people who are positive, they can't practice. But if the NFL is going to move forward, we still need to be able to practice, because now we have a situation where we've seen what not having proper training camps and practice and preseasons will do. We've had a plethora of injuries. And so now the NFL is scrambling, and they've made this new idea that I think is terrible. Adam Schefter is reporting their new plans. He says the NFL has gone over a number of alternative scenarios, and in a season of COVID, it very well may be forced to resort to one of those. And one of those that has come up is that of the playoffs won't be based on the number of wins, as it has been every year that the NFL as it has been for every year the NFL has existed. It could just simply be that it's based on a win percentage. That if the Tennessee Titans go 10-3 this year, or whatever their record is, if their win percentage is better, then they can go to the playoffs. I don't like this, because again, it's saying that the NFL wants to can move on business as usual. They want the playoffs to happen the same way they've always happened as far as the timing, and that does not make sense. And like I said earlier, they literally had the NBA to look at as an example. You have to have additional weeks set out. I think for me, you should have planned on a 20 to 22 week season off top, because you should have known some stuff like this was going to happen. I think that's just a better plan, because it makes sure that teams who are put behind the 8 ball because they can't practice for whatever reason, that they're not now going into games unprepared. It allows you to extend advertising dollars. I know that there's going to be some issues with the TV contract, but I'm sure that can be worked out. But what we're not going to do is just wing it. And that's what the NFL seems to be doing to me right now. The fact that they don't have any contingency plans is truly embarrassing to me. And I just don't like this percentage playoff thing at all. But Chris, what are your thoughts on all of this? Do you like the percentage idea, or do you think that, no, let's get back to a drawing board and let's come up with a plan that actually makes sense?
Well, I feel like it's so late to even have that conversation. I mean, obviously, it's probably the best idea, but it's so late to even because that's still winging it. That's still winging it. Like,
Right.
you're right that we probably should come back and have some kind of powwow on what needs to be done, especially with what's been going on these last few weeks. But I'm with you on that side for sure. Like, you could tell that their alternative plan was not an alternative plan at all.
Mm-hmm.
It was all right. Let's try this one if this don't work. No, it is kind of frustrating that the NFL wasn't entirely prepared in case what is happening right now. And this isn't probably even the worst of it, if it could, because it probably could get worse than what's happening right now. So. Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's really hard to disagree on the fact that the NFL is just being the NFL right now.
Yeah, no, I'm thoroughly disappointed, but that's all I got for what we not gonna do. And now it's time for Britt's takes.
Britt's takes.
Chris had to make sure he didn't get fired. And
Get his
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Britt's whole face was like, you trying real hard right now.
All right, it's time for Britt's take, and we are going to keep it in the NFL. And Jackie, this one is for you, my sister, because we have talked a lot about changing, and you don't believe anyone can change, but I found one person in the NFL that changed. So I got really excited. So former Hall of Fame Packers coach decided to dump Trump, and I love it. So it was Mike Holmgren. I always say his name weird, but he coached the Packers from 92 to 98 and then took them obviously to a Super Bowl title in 97. He also coached the Seahawks from 90 to 2008. And then he was of the Browns from 2010 to 2012. So he's been part of the NFL for a really long time. He is, like I said, he's a coach now and all of this kind of stuff. And he hasn't been super political before. He just kind of kept his political decisions and things to him. He never was out voicing and talking about stuff like that. But he has always been a Republican. He did say that he was a Republican his whole entire life. And then after the 2016 election, Hillary basically lost by a very small margin to Donald Trump in the state of Wisconsin. And I don't know if he didn't vote or he didn't vote for Hillary or whatever the case is, but what he says is at that moment, he decided he was going to start moving in the direction of becoming a Democrat, and a vocal one at that. So the Packers actually, because I remember a couple weeks ago, you guys, I told you guys all the teams that were, as they were going to start opening up their stadiums week after week. We know the Kansas City Chiefs did it week 1, but throughout the weeks there were going to be teams that okay, after 3 or 4 weeks we're going to start allowing fans, and after this amount of time we're going to increase it to more fans. Every team and stadium had a plan like that, and it all started from the beginning. So we had that. Well, Packers, it was supposed to be Packers week 2. After the 4 weeks is over, now we're going to start allowing fans in the stands. That was the thing that they had come to. But because of the numbers rising in Wisconsin, they are getting a second wind right now, and or the beginning of their second wind of COVID. And the Packers announced that they would not be allowing fans in the stands right now. They said this is an indefinite move. They don't know when it's going to be opening up, but unlike Miami Dolphins, which Jackie just talked about, the Packers are listening to the health officials in Wisconsin who are saying, we are getting a second wind right now. Do not do this. Even though Wisconsin's numbers are nowhere near where they are in Florida, they decided, you know what, we should put a pause on this because we don't want it to get out of control. And this is where Coach Mike decided to step in, and he released a statement. And in his statement, he basically, I'll just kind of glaze over it a little bit, but he said President Trump's failure to mount a forceful response to the coronavirus pandemic has had a profound consequences for Green Bay's economy. And then he went on to literally endorse Joe Biden and say Joe Biden has a real plan to beat the coronavirus. And he basically told people to go to iwillvote.com, make sure they're registered, and sign a petition saying that they are vowing to vote, and all this kind of stuff. And this was like huge. Like he's dabbled like early on in the season, or preseason, I should say, about like starting to mention like, hey, we should start voting and we need to do this, that, and the third. But like he said himself, his whole entire life, he has stayed out of politics, never really said anything. And this is like a huge moment that like a guy who has been a Republican at that for his whole entire life, has not spoke out about politics his whole entire life. And literally there is a street named after him in Wisconsin. Like he is huge out there. I already said he's a Hall of Famer. He has been very active in the community as far as like everybody in Wisconsin loves this man. Like he is like right under, I would say, like Brett Favre there. Like, you know, like he is huge. People really listen to him. And I think posting this and saying this statement it makes a huge impact on, like, I think if people are going to listen or not. He literally, a guy from the Midwest, and we all know it's those Midwest states, and Trump won Wisconsin in the 2000 election, and just by a very few. So he doesn't have to get a ton of people to switch over to Joe Biden at this point. It's a very small number that Joe Biden could actually win Wisconsin, and that would be huge for this election. So him doing this is like, thank you for finally having a change of heart and dumping Trump and moving over to, you know, the Democratic Party or whatever, especially in this instance, because this is a huge election. And, you know, this guy is an icon. Like, he is so big. And I know he's probably getting hate from a lot of people in Wisconsin who probably are like, what? Trump's all this kind of stuff, because you know how Trump's supporters are. But this was huge. I commend you for doing this. This is like a big change. He's been, you know, active in a lot of little stuff. He's been doing stuff for Black Lives Matter, all this kind of stuff. So this man is like, you know, I never heard anything about him being racist before, and he never did make it clear if he voted for Trump in the last election, but he did say that once Trump won, and especially won in Wisconsin, he decided to move to the Democratic Party. So, but he wasn't clear on like his previous voting at that time in the 2016 election. But whatever, I'm happy you are moved over now, and you know, like somebody spoke to you or something changed in your heart to make you do this, because this was huge for the state of Wisconsin. And hopefully, obviously, once we get the voting in on November 3rd, that Wisconsin is turned to a blue state. But yeah, that's all I kind of really wanted to say about that. I'm really happy to hear that somebody who is so huge in the football community, the NFL community, that was a Republican, like we know a lot of the head up people in the NFL are, and, you know, decided to move over and, you know, be known about it, like not just send a private vote and do his own voting, but he's been vocal about it. And I think that's like awesome. And hopefully we can see in the next couple weeks more people like that come out. But see, Jackie, people can change. It's slowly but surely.
This one's different though. I don't, like you said, I've never known him to be like, it's difficult for me to think that someone who supports Donald Trump is not racist, because he has such racist ideals. He's very open with his racist ideals. He's very much supportive. Yeah. So if you support that man, I don't care what your mama say. You are racist to me. So I think for him, it was probably a little easier because everything, like you said, I've known about him, he doesn't have those racist tendencies. So it was probably an easy jump, you know, like, let me just not do this. And, you know, on the flip side, if the Republican Party ever gets it together and has a candidate who aligns himself with his views and isn't racist, he'll probably jump back. So I think this really does show more about he's looking at the character of the man than the party. And I'm proud of him for that, because unfortunately, this is a two-party system. And I think that we all should do that. We should definitely look at the character of the man versus the party. So well done on his part for being open about this. But his character kind of seems like this makes sense. I don't know if he's changed as much as now he's just being vocal like, yo, this man's crazy. So yeah.
Pure just moment of just like having comment. Again, this is a common sense episode, you guys. Of
Right.
We're just having no common sense again. The man just had enough common sense to know, even as a Republican his whole entire life, that okay, maybe this time I don't vote Republican because this guy is an idiot. So that in and of itself, just to have that knowledge, because apparently in this country, a lot of people don't have that knowledge. We have some of them in the comment section, but like we just have the common sense knowledge. It's just like, it's just a moment. I just wanted to shout him out for that moment, because like it's a lot of times it isn't really like, I don't really like hate Republicans or whatever. I just don't like Donald Trump people. Like Donald Trump supporters are different than Republicans, and like I think this moment of like him coming out, and then just him, I think the change more so is him being vocal about it, because he's never been vocal about like politics at all, but he just thought this was so important that I needed to speak out about it. I need to release a statement, because there are a lot of people in this state who love me, and I'm like this level in this state, so like maybe they'll listen to me because I look like them, in that sense. So yeah, kudos to Coach. I love it.
Yeah, well done.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that, Britt. I'm also with you on the whole people can change train. I do believe that people can change. Not everyone can change, but people can change, I think. All right. Well, on that note, let's wrap up our show for the day right on time, you guys. I'm proud of us. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. We will be back again at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow, so we'll see you then. Wear a mask, wash your hands, and we'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.
And don't go to George Hill's party, guys. Don't.
Oh,
Bad idea. Bad idea.